I know, right?
So this song is kind of a work in progress, and I had some lyrics to it, but they were just so sad I just couldn't do it. But I wanted it to be a song about what it's been like for Mike and I to be full-time RVers and live our lives as nomads. Because, and that's not a sad song at all, that's a happy song. The first thing that you'll need for long-term boondocking is a legal place where you can have your rig, your motorhome or your fifth wheel, your tent or your van, whatever you've got. And for months at a time. I'm not going to go into stealth camping or anything like that. I have no experience with that, and there's lots of channels out there that deal with such a thing. But for us, long-term visitor areas in the Southwest seem to have everything that we need. You could also rent some private property or buy some property of your own. There's I think there's some pretty inexpensive property down here in Arizona. But the three things that you'll need, and as far as the long-term areas go, as far as I can tell, the Southwest is the only areas that have those. California and Arizona, basically, I think. The summer long-term visitor area up in the Sierras, I think that's on the California side and not the Nevada side. Whatever property that you find to be on for several months and boondock and just get away from it all, you're going to need three things. You're going to need access to water and access to a sewer of some sort, and you'll need trash, somewhere to put your trash. And the long-term visitor area has all that. Now, Randy asked about how to do it without using any gas. You could just be very, very close to the water. We're fairly close, so it doesn't take a whole lot of gas for us to drive over and do, or on the sewer dump and get the water. You could do like some friends of ours have. They have a water bladder, and they fill that up and take it back and forth, so it uses less gas than actually taking their coach all the way to the water, which it's not very far. I mean, it's 2 minutes down the road from where we are. As far as a sewer, you're going to need that unless you just don't have any tanks at all, and then you're just using like a water bottle with a dolphin pump. You want to filter this water here, though. We use a water softener and an external filter, and then an Everpure filter under the sink for our drinking purposes. So last year we went into town and got the purified water, but we tasted it this year with all of the filters on, and it's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty good. So we just go with that. Now, if you don't have any tanks, any sewer tanks at all, and you don't want to deal with that, here you've got to be, I think, within 500 yards. I'll have to read the rules. Within 500 yards of the vault toilets. There's no running water, so you'll need a place to wash up. I think you can go to the truck stop in town and get a shower. But again, I don't have any experience with long-term tenting or long-term van dwelling where you don't have where it's not self-contained. We're self-contained in our RV. It's pretty small, a 30-foot RV. But we've got a bathroom and shower, and it's not a compost toilet, so we deal with the black tank. But you could, if you didn't want to deal with a black tank, you could go with a composting toilet. There's trash bins here that you could dispose of your Coco Noir or whatever you use, right? And let's see. So if you didn't want to use a lot of gas for your sewer dump, you could use what's called a Blue Boy, and it's a portable tank, and you could actually drag that over to the Blue Boy dump with your bicycle. And other than that, you could just park close to the vault toilets here. Gray tank is pretty easy. It's just the water that goes down your sinks. If you weren't using your black tank for your sewer, you could double your gray water capacity, and so then your dumping would only be every couple of weeks, right? Let's see. So Randy is wondering, how to do it without really going anywhere. And as far as food, Mike and I fairly easily have a month of food. Mike and I can fairly easily fit a month's worth of food in our little fridge in our cupboards. And we freeze vegetables and meat, and then put cheeses and sauce and fresh vegetables and things like that in the fridge. And then we supplement that all with rice and canned meats and canned beans and things like that. I try not to use a lot of canned things, but it really does expand your pantry to use canned meats. We use beef and chicken and sardines and salmon, and they're really pretty good. I do that basically because I fear the fridge just breaking down one day and all of our food going, right? So you could just get freeze-dried food, and I think Randy mentioned that as well. You could do freeze-dried food for several months, and if you got Mountain House, we've tried that when the children were in search and rescue, and those are actually pretty good. That way you wouldn't have any dishes to wash, any pots and pans to wash, so you wouldn't be dealing with gray tank very much. You could use disposable forks, and just heat up your water in a pan, and if that's all you ever heated in your pan with water, you don't need to wash it, right? So you could go that way too. And truly, if we wanted to put a couple of months of food in here, we could. We just don't. We just go over to Phoenix, to the Costco. There's a ton of Costco's over there, and it takes us about an hour and a half to drive over, so it's not too bad. And we just use our Toad, our little Toyota. It's pretty good on gas. So just once a month there. And when we need something else, there's a lot of stores right in town. If you had a bicycle, you could easily ride the couple miles into town from here. Now, we just don't get very many items in town. It's kind of expensive. Everything has to be shipped on into Quartzsite. And so we find that the little markets are a little bit expensive. So let's see. There's a Walmart up in Parker, 30 miles away. There's other stores there too, Safeway and some other kind of little market. And Yuma is 70 miles south with all kinds of stores, but they don't have a Costco. El Centro has a Costco. It's a little bit further and a little bit slower of a drive, actually a lot slower of a drive than going to Phoenix from here, so we don't really use that one. We've used it a couple times, but ultimately it's easier just to get on the 10 and head east. Blythe is on the 10 west, about 20 miles west, and they have a Safeway. And some other stores, I think, but that's the main grocery store in Blythe. So not very far to get food, but you could stock up for a few months. It's pretty easy between fridge and freezer and canned goods and freeze-dried goods. You could easily get 2 or 3 months worth of food in a rig. I think it depends on what you're in. Again, this is just talking about a self-contained vehicle that's at least our size, because I don't have very much experience with long-term boondocking otherwise. Mike and I, when the children were little, we did a lot of tent camping, and when I was growing up, we did a lot of camper and van camping, but never for long periods of time. So just not a lot of experience there. We use mostly solar and wind turbine, and so obviously there's no going anywhere for that energy. But sometimes, today is really bright and sunshiny out, and then yesterday was pretty breezy, so we had some energy, but sometimes there's just no wind and there's no sun, and we have to turn the generator on. And we bought a generator that uses both gasoline and propane. Propane is easier to use, it's cheaper than gasoline, and it's safer to use than gasoline. So we haven't had to go into town for propane very much, maybe twice. There was a question also about phone and internet connectivity out here in the long-term area. We have an AT&T hotspot, and it gets fantastic connectivity without even using the booster. So this is a really good area to be. I mean, it takes, a minute or two to upload a whole video. It's pretty good. We stream, watch YouTube, Netflix, Hulu, Curiosity Stream, whatever you want. It streams pretty well.
Yeah.